Yeah, we allow. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, fellow councilors, staff. I'd like to welcome you today to the regular meeting of council held January 24th, 2023 at 6 a.m. Well, p.m. We could have a 6 a.m. meeting, but the gallery would be full. It's held and transmitted electronically in the temporary council chambers of King George Street in Lake Cowichan. I'd first like to acknowledge our gathering this evening on the traditional unceded territory of the Subats people, and I thank them for their caring of the lands for millennia and sharing those lands with us as we work, play, and live together. With that, I'll call this meeting to order. Any introduction of late items? I believe I have a few here. Councillor Austin.
Just an update on Otaki delegation.
Okay, that'll be under C, new business. And I have one from Councillor Frisbee.
Yeah, Chamber of Commerce meeting report.
Okay, a chamber update. Meeting update from Councillor Frisbee, and I believe Councillor Sandu had one.
Just an update on AB Greenwell.
AB Greenwell update is available. Perfect. Just a verbal on that if there is any. Any other late items? Joseph?
Yes, that's a request by Aaron Hamilton. If it could meet with council February 6th.
All of council or the council to council? February 6th.
At their location.
So we'll put that under F. We'll call that C to C. Meeting. And we'll get the update when we bring that forward.
That's
Time,
fine.
et
It's
cetera.
just a time. Well, there's no time.
And what was the date again, sir?
February 6th.
Feb 6. Thank you. Anything else? Look for approval as amended, please. Moved by Councillor Austin, seconded by Councillor Frisbee. All in favor? Opposed, if any? That motion carries. Thank you. Adoption of the minutes will be next. That's the minutes of the regular meeting of council held December 20th, 2022. Looking at that, any errors or omissions? Mover. Councillor Frisbee, seconded by Councillor Sandu. You can second it. Any discussion on that? Call the question. All those in favor? Opposed, if any, and that motion carries. Thank you. Any business arising from that, Joseph?
Nothing.
Thank you. We have no delegation or representations tonight. Correspondence items, I don't see any on the agenda.
No.
Thank you, sir. Moving right along, we'll move into reports. Committee of the whole report from Councillor Austin, please.
Thank you. I'd like to move the minutes of the date is the right thing here. January 10th, Tuesday, Committee of the Whole with a correction. I did chair that meeting. The first recommendation is that the committee recommend approval of the Lake Cowichan Fire Department's incident report for November 2022 in the amount of $17,516.55. And the following one is that the committee recommend a leave of absence for Councillor Sandu for this meeting be approved. Is all.
Okay, looking for a seconder, Councillor Bomaka. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Motion carries. Thank you. Cowichan Lake Recreation Report. That meeting is this Thursday. Councillor Frisbee will be attending that as the alternate. We'll give Councillor Sandu another reprieve on that one. She will attend the next one as the councillor. Vancouver Island Regional Library, Councillor Austin, anything there?
Yes, thank you. The AGM is this Saturday, January 28th. It's going to be at Nanaimo VIU. They're doing an orientation for new trustees at 9 o'clock. And there's quite a bit going on. We're going to be there for quite a while that day. So I'm looking forward to that. It's all in person this time. Then they will be doing some hybrid meetings as well.
Okay, thank you. No questions there? You'll share the AGM
Yes, I am.
minutes with us after that occurs. Thank you. APC Advisory Planning Commission, anything there, Councillor Austin?
Too much, huh? The Advisory Planning Commission meeting is this coming Thursday. We have minutes from November 10th, which I think I went over before in December. The CAO has a report, commission members, their responsibilities and conflict of interest. We have a new commission member. Contract planner will be talking about provincial authority for APC, and there is the format there. And terms of reference for OCP review. For new business, they'll be measuring progress towards clean growth as well. So looking forward to that meeting.
Perfect, thank you. I will just note that a member of the APC is in the audience tonight. Thank you very much for your volunteering in that organization, that committee on our behalf. Thank you. That's just for information. I have no report on the Forest Co-op. Cowichan Valley Regional District. It's budget time, so meetings are long and tenuous. There have been a number of preliminary meetings just to present the preliminary core budget and the supplementals that have been requested through staff. If all supplementals were to be approved, would be a 12% increase in the Cowichan Valley Regional District requisition. We have not gone through the budget process looking at how that could be lessened into the electorate, but that will occur starting again tomorrow and a follow-up on Thursday. The major impacts are the regional recreation referendum that passed. That would be a significant increase for the town of Lake Cowichan in the usage on those facilities that were named in the referendum, 9 facilities. Another impact is the increase in tipping fees and export prices of CDRD and surrounding area garbages that go to Rabanco, which is in Washington State. So with the increase of fuel, the increase of transportation costs and other entities, that has had a significant impact on that requisition as well. Once the debate transpires, I will bring back those numbers for you for consideration. As we move forward in budget talks, it will have an impact on what we can accomplish, given the tax implications of the regional district. As you'll note, the province has mandated certain services be provided through regional districts, transit being one of them, waste management being another, and emergency services as well. So those are mandated services that we provide through our requisition to the CBRD. Different areas do impact through functions that we do participate in. Some participate in very few, some participate in quite a number. And you'll remember that if the referendum passed on regional recreation or affordable housing or the water function, that they can only be taken away by referendum as well. So it's not a matter of just saying that you don't want to be involved anymore. Once they're established by referendum, they have to be omitted by referendum. So I'll keep you apprised of that, and feel free to watch on YouTube. It's very entertaining. If you have 8, 9, 10 hours to kill, feel free to follow along, and don't worry about the body language that you may see. It's mostly in person now, so that has been cut back a little bit. I think Zoom has shown us that we can be very temperamental in our own abodes trying to attend virtually. Feel free. Any questions? Have a great meeting.
Enjoy
9:30 a.m. precisely.
tomorrow.
Yes, and also on Thursday. Community outreach team, I'll go back to you, Councillor Ross.
Thank you. I did send you all the reports, so I didn't have to talk so much because I don't want to hog the
Airtime?
airtime.
I already
We don't want to do that.
Already did.
But you did, but anyway, we had it this, last Thursday, it was in person, we had really good turnout. We had Jocelyn Lundberg, Executive Director of Community Services, Rosalie Salary from Poverty Reduction Moving On Up Program, Stephanie Eschek, Nurse Practitioner, Sergeant Watson and Corporal Shannon, Savikoff from the RCMP, Laurel Crawford from Community Integration, and Carolyn Yablonsky, Kyle LaBerge, and myself. And one of the main things that came out of it after discussing all the different things going on in our community is it was noted by all in attendance that we all need to support grant applications for community services with letters of support, especially from the town, because they were not successful in their grant, much needed grant for substance abuse counseling. So, and the nurse practitioner had a lot of different queries for us as well to lobby for different things that they need, volunteer drivers and that type of thing, to take people to their meetings and to their appointments. That used to be done through Volunteer Couch, and I think the insurance is quite cost prohibitive, but perhaps there's a grant for that. So we just have to keep at it and lobby for these things when they come up. So she'll notify us when she's putting in the next grant app.
Question, Councillor Sandhu.
You were saying support letters to community services. Has our family practitioners been approached as part of some of the grant applications for community
I
service?
don't know, the nurse practitioner may have. We didn't really talk about them, but again, they could outreach to them as well. Every single group in town that's interested in this should be part of it. And if they, at their next grant, they are giving grants to the major cities for the most part, so that's why most of this is in Duncan. And I know the RCMP do take people to Duncan when they're in need, but it takes them away from here and their job here as well. So we'll just see how it goes, but we just have to remember, and I'll report on that every month. And if there's a new grant coming up, I'll let everyone know that we should be writing a letter of support for that.
And please encourage the executive director to forward
Yeah.
those for our consideration in a timely manner, and we will do our best to support if needed. And if everybody agrees, I think we all understand and have identified that there are some health deficiencies, and that will come up later on in the health survey on the questions that we will forward on your behalf on the town. And one of those will be mental health and addictions deficiencies that are currently within our west region. Thank you for that. Any other comments or questions? Thank you. Howard Cowichan,
Our next meeting is February 9th at the Ramada Silver Bridge.
and staying with you, Cowichan Watershed.
Our next
Board.
meeting is Monday, January 30th.
Thank you very much. That concludes other reports. We'll move to staff reports. Bylaws. Mr. Fernandez, number 8.
The subdivision and subdivision file 1082 was given first and second reading at the last meeting. And as a result, council and staff concerned, this was taken back to the drawing board. And on January 16th, the contract planner, myself, and the superintendent met to go over some of the issues. And as a result, we were all on side on the changes, and those changes have been incorporated into the bylaw. I mean, if you were to go through the bylaw, you may not notice changes because they look very similar, but there are changes. The driveway location and on-street parking requirements have been added to the plan requirements. Furthermore, provision that the cul-de-sac with amenities 15 meters right away is subject to the approval of the hearing officer, so it's just not automatic. And the half street cross section, which was also amended to reflect the superintendent's recommendation to go from 3.2 to 3.5 meters, and that's reflected in figure 4. And I know we talked about the bump out the whole idea of pump house is to traffic calm and I know there was some discussion that it might affect snow removal. Snow removal only affects the driven portion of the street. They don't go from one end to the other end, it goes curb to curb, so we were basically okay with the changes then, so it's here for third reading.
Question, Councillor Sandu?
Yeah, I printed out both the one from December that was presented and then the January one, and I did line by line, and the only change I saw was page 21 there was nothing in the half street.
Yeah, the drawing shows 3.2 to 3.5.
Well, there's no picture, there's no change, it's blank.
Oh, no, there should have been a picture. Oh, there's not a picture on that?
You know.
I can resend the PDF copy with the changes noted.
The other comment I have on that is, when there's changes like this, could we have it highlighted on the new documents so that when we're comparing them, that we can see where the changes were
Sure.
made,
So,
instead of me having to try and read.
No,
25
that could be
pages.
done.
If we could do that.
Yeah.
One more question.
Absolutely.
Is our fire chief was concerned about fire trucks being able to get through certain streets,
Yeah,
whatnot.
so that's why the 2.2 went to 3.5.
And is
So the
that,
narrow street, yeah,
and they're,
and I think the superintendent was okay with it. He seemed satisfied, but it's just a word of caution. I mean, at the end of the day, when they come in with a subdivision plan, it's just not automatic approval. They have to meet a number of conditions. So it's vetted by the superintendent, vetted by the fire chief and myself. And the contract planner.
so the fire chief has then agreed to these changes?
We didn't deal with him, but I'm sure the superintendent. But
But you don't know that.
I don't.
So in the process, we could do third reading with a follow-up to the fire chief and emergency services on those changes.
He'll be gone in a
Yes.
couple of months,
Is he gone shortly?
a couple of days.
We could approach him prior to adoption on any concern, because
So
it's
you
only
wanna
third
hold off?
reading today, is it not?
You want to hold off third reading then?
I believe that would probably be appropriate, and we could have either a special meeting or if it is time sensitive.
It's not time.
I don't believe it is, but just to make sure that we have implemented all our providers with the changes and whether they will be impactful to the services provided. I think that's appropriate if everybody agrees. So at this time, we will refer the subdivision bylaw to
Next meeting?
an appropriate meeting. Thank you, Joseph. Next is the Town of Lake Cowichan fees and charges for service bylaw, 1083/2022.
Yeah.
Mr. Fernandez again.
Yeah, the bylaw 1083/2022 has been given free reading and it's here for adoption.
Any discussion on this bylaw, councilors? Boy, I almost emoted you. Councilor Frisbee.
Just on reflection from some of the feedback we got from staff at the last reading, the site fees, so the increase we've shown is around 15%. But the feedback from staff we got last time was that we are selling out most days, so the demand is over our supply. And you know, I'm a believer in round numbers, so I did ask the question, if we did increase it to $40 a night, how much that would bring into town or the Town of Lake Cowichan residents coffers, and it would be a difference of $18,000. So a $3 increase from our proposed one would bring in a significant amount of money. There's always chat on how tourism or this camping does bring in money to the town. This could be one way. I'm also cautious about pricing some families out of that. But I mean, the increase in this is on par with most things that are increasing. So I would like to hear opinions on increasing the site fee from $37 to $40.
Okay, anything from staff, first of all?
Well,
No.
the Howard sites are are 37 plus 13. So they're $50 a night.
For the powered sites.
About size, yeah.
And of the total sites, how many are powered?
40 only?
Okay.
Is it 40?
No, 15,
No, 28.
28. See, we're in the middle there. 28 of those are $50 an hour.
If I can just make a comment, and I see what Councillor could be saying. But we've looked at different, between Ronnie and I and stuff, we've looked at different places and we're not the highest. We're not the lowest, we're sort of in between. And the powered sites are, we don't have sewer with it. We just got water and electricity. If we had sewer as well, then we could ask for a bit more on those. It won't make a difference, quite frankly, people will pay the price. But so it's kind of a council decision. We're not gonna lose business from this. But it may stop a few people from coming. But during Sunfest and different big events, people will pay anything.
So if I
I
may,
don't know if that helps you or not, but
no, and it's just a consideration that was brought forward and rightfully so. So has there already been reservations opened up for Lakeview, or when do they open?
They're set to open
March
March.
1st.
So the online reservation will be open in about a month and a bit. So any changes would have to be implemented fairly quickly if you were looking at incorporating those increases. So just so we're cognizant, it would be tonight.
And it's already gone through the development check of these rates, so.
So
But that's not to say we could change them. if-
Absolutely not.
Yeah. we could
Totally
change
up to
them.
you.
It's fine.
my concern is that we price people out of the market and that's just my view, Councillor Austin.
I feel the same to price people out of the market. As you say, there's no sewer at those sites and that does usually cost a bit more for people. So I don't know. I think it looks pretty good the way it is for the type of site it is and the popularity, and that's my opinion.
Councillor Sandin?
Well, I'm a camper of Lakeview and I would pay $37. I'd pay $40 because what we're sitting at is a beautiful piece of property. And I think Mr. Smith's right that people will pay it. And I think if that could generate a bit of more revenue, why not? So I'm in support of this.
There's nothing on the table, it's just open for discussion. Councillor Frisbee.
So
please.
yeah, there has been discussion with other business owners about how Lake Cowichan is experiencing the tourism boom, but we don't get that room tax of other big centres from hotels. So I mean, this is, I come from a business perspective, and I think this is the town's business. It's a supply and demand thing, but I am also compassionate with the pricing people out as well.
Councillor Bomaka.
Yeah, I like the idea of saying, well, 40 is a round number, but then next year we'll be raising the rate again, and it'll go up to 42 or 43. So it will always never be a round number. It's great to make a little bit more money, but off the backs of families that there's not a lot of affordable things to do anymore with families with small children. So sit there and weigh money versus people, yeah. And so I would rather it just go up incrementally each budget year. That's my personal opinion.
Thank you. Councillor Sandu,
When
please.
was the last time the rate went up? 2 years ago? And what was it then?
36.
35.
It was $35.
35, so now we're recommending 37. That money also can be put back into Lakeview Campground to beautify it, to do some stuff with it. That's where we need to start looking at, how can we put money back into improving certain things without the revenue needed. So I think if we can in turn look at it also that way. And I think for what people pay for a hotel room a night, one night, you would get 4 nights in camping. Bonus.
Did you have something else, Councillor Austin? I thought I said.
No, no, I'm just.
So with the possibility of implementing sanitary station there, if we're looking at capital projects moving forward in implementing that somehow, the increase in costs per site could be incorporated into the service and regulation charges bylaw when that is implemented. Personally, I would like to see that it go up incrementally. So at $37 this year, let's look at how we can implement a secondary sanitary dump station, whether it be at Lakeview or another spot, and then look at increasing with that service provided. That's just my own personal view, to keep it as it is from now and moving forward, look at the capital improvements that are possible there to take some pressure off the one that we do have at Centennial Park and give another option. It would be absolutely phenomenal if Gordon Bay Campground had a sanitary dump there as well. That would take a lot of pressure off of our system and our infrastructure as well. That's just it's just my looking at moving forward with an incremental increase with that. It's totally up to this body. Mr. Smith,
I see the council will not move before me, but
Was
please.
Okay, so question, because I just don't want to see an increase go into, maintenance of the campsite. So is there a way that, something like the snow removal budget, where we take a portion, would that be able to go into a specific upgrade to the campsite, such as it's, well, yeah, something to go so that every time you take $3 more for every campsite and you put it in to that reserve, I guess is the word for it. Or would we be able to do that? So it's not being used just for general expenditures. Because we always seem to not get anything done at that campsite because the budget, there's no extra money.
if I can comment before the financial experts make their comment. There's a couple of things, just to go back in history, when the campsite was developed as it was, we had huge grants that we were able to garner because we were trying to expand and attract tourism to the community. Because at that time, it was hard to get people to come in. So we've achieved a goal. And so most of that is, and so as a nonprofit, and we're considered nonprofit, that's why we've been so fortunate to get these grants. We need big money to put into expanding the campground, for example, partnerships with First Nations that we've talked about. The smaller amounts that we're talking about at this table right now don't go a heck of a lot. But each year we do use money even to operational and some to capital to make improvements. Last couple of years have been more difficult. Last year we did put some money into operating, but it's not all that significant, quite frankly. So by putting that money aside, I don't know what the financial people think, but it doesn't, it probably wouldn't happen. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah, I think the budget has to be looked at as a whole, not just the Lakeview Park Campground at this meeting. It has to be the entire town and what the priorities are.
The discussion and your, absolutely, you can ask as many as you wish.
To the, what? Sorry, my brain's not working today. Sorry, to Mr. Smith. So when was the last time we had any success with the JCP grant for any upgrades there? And are we applying for any in the near future?
JCB grants were fantastic for the town for many years. We ran into some difficulties that we couldn't really submit some of our applications. The climate right now for JCPs is not good because there's not enough workers that would qualify to do job creation programs because people are not on EI programs anymore, very few, because of the fact of the COVID situation and the expended funds that took place in that. So that's not really a high priority at this point. That's why, we were trying to look at the waterfront walkway, with the expression of interest in. So I think we're just at the mercy of normal grants right now, and we look at them, or I look at them constantly. And there's not been too many that have been appropriate yet, but it looks like there's something working. So I think that, that's what I have to do, is I have to try and, on behalf of council, try and get some of those grants, no question. JCP would be great, but I have them very well.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely, Councilor Frisbee. Please.
I'd just like to ask staff, if I may, are we confident that the increases at the moment are going to cover inflation and rising costs of operation?
Well, the campsite it does, of course, because we do, you know, it reflects, we do make money at the campsite every year. And as from the education center point of view, if that's what you're looking at, the 15% that we've done, that's a big increase. Never have we ever done that before. It does cover the cost of operation.
I was referring more to, because with the campground, I realize that it makes money, but are we going to maintain that profit margin with rising costs with the small incremental increase?
Yes, because a lot of the costs are, except for electrical costs, and if you take a look at the financial statement, you'll see that we always make money at electricity because we charge per site, and when we're renting out a campsite, we charge extra for electricity, and we make money at that.
Yeah, thank
So
you.
that's the only, our staffing is up just a little bit,
Right.
the cost, and we try and, you know, we're pretty good at that.
The contractual obligations, this increase will cover those.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? So are we keeping it the same? I did not hear an amendment to this, so
Sure.
are you gonna test the floor?
Yeah, just for, I'd like to put a motion forward that we adopt this bylaw with an amendment that we change the site fee per night from $37 to $40.
Do I? Yes,
Yeah,
Joseph, I'm
you
gonna get a
have-
seconder
You'll
first,
have to rescind third reading first. And then
and
amend
then
it,
try the amendment.
then try to amend it. Because otherwise, but the only issue with that is a lot of the rates would be held up until it's approved. The rest of the rates would be held in advance. The other choice you have is to pass the bylaw as it is and then amend it at a subsequent meeting.
The next one.
Okay,
Your choice.
so we've had a healthy discussion and consideration on both sides. Why don't we pause, pass this one, and if need be, we can bring it back for an amendment. If that's appropriate,
Just dealing with that issue.
just dealing with that increase that was brought forward by Councilor Brisbane. One more question from Councilor Sandu.
Well, I just think if we're delaying it, then the discussion and the vote, if we pass this, when do we amend this? Because time is of the essence with online bookings coming up and whatnot, so I don't support if we're gonna have a vote, let's put this on the floor, see where it goes. Reverse the amendment,
Okay, so the process would be to rescind
third reading.
third reading.
Couldn't do it now, could we? We
At
couldn't
this
pass-
point?
Couldn't pass it last time. Because we'd have to rescind the third reading and then we'd have
And
to
then
adopt
move
it. the next-
to move the increase.
there's no-
Joseph,
Yeah, the only issue is we have other, and we have utility bills that are going out with rates
Yeah,
as it's
already
already,
implemented.
so that will be held up. So that's why it would be better to pass it and then come back with an amendment to that rate.
Because just the camping fees are not the only thing incorporated in this bylaw. It's other services within that bylaw. Councilor
But go ahead,
Austin.
go ahead.
Go for it.
Well, I was just gonna say, I make a motion that we pass this as is for now and go back and if we want to revisit it afterwards.
Do I have a seconder on that? We're making this more complicated.
Well, is that what we're gonna do?
We had that.
Absolutely. I have a seconder, Councilor Frisbee actually seconded that.
He did, one guy,
Any further discussion? Have we beat this to death?
we beat it.
Joseph,
Yeah, just one other thing, then you want to give us direction to come back with the amendment.
we will do that after we pass this one. How's that?
Okay,
I'll call the
sounds good.
question. All in favor? Now I'm looking for a mover on that specific increase that you were speaking of on the site per night amendment. And you are going to move it, right?
I'll move it. Sorry, I didn't know whether you wanted me to.
Absolutely. So if you want to state it,
I would like to motion that the site fee increase from $37 to $47, $40. Wow, really? That's seriously, isn't it?
so Councilor Frisbee is moving an increase on site from 37 to 40, and it's seconded by Councilor Fandu to come back at the appropriate meeting. Is that enough direction, Joseph?
Yeah, that's good.
Perfect. Any other discussion? Call the question, all in favor? Those opposed? That passes. Thank you very much. No, good discussion. Next, we have Town of Lake Cowichan Council Remuneration and Expense Bylaw 1084 may be considered and adopted. Joseph?
Yeah, this bylaw has been given 3 readings and here for reconsideration and adoption.
Councillor Sandu.
I'd like to move that the third reading of bylaw number 1084/2022 be rescinded.
Do we have a seconder for that? That's seconded to get on the floor, and further to that, if you want to carry on.
Just some of the concerns I had and comments regarding the process of the changes of bylaw, from bylaw, the current bylaw of 1043/2020 to the bylaw before us of 1084/2022. In particular, number 6B, expenditures that qualify for reimbursement. Transportation expense, including airfare and car rentals. So that's in the current bylaw. Have it right here. And the proposed bylaw, 1084/2022, any car rental is subject to prior approval by the CAO. And I'm just wondering why the language of the current bylaw to the proposed bylaw has been amended.
But that was as a result of direction of the council.
I don't understand.
No, the council at the meeting directed that language be put in, and so there was agreement on by all the council. So that's the reason. It was not a staff decision.
And what, could I ask what meeting was that?
At a council,
Was it the one at the fire hall?
No, it was here.
it was here.
Was I away?
No, it was
Well, I don't recall that conversation. The other comment, the other one is 9G. Under the current bylaw, each member of council will be provided with a tablet, so the agenda and emails may be directed to individual tablets for the conduct of council business. In the proposed bylaw, 1084/2022, if the tablet is damaged, lost, stolen, the elected officials are responsible for the cost of the replacement unless the tablet is proven defective. So just a couple questions I had on that was, if my house was broken into, am I responsible to, and this iPad was taken, am I responsible to replace it? If a town employee is working with tools or whatnot, and it breaks, is that town employee responsible to replace that tool?
They would if they took it home. If they took the equipment home, then they would.
Well, they wouldn't take it home, so on the job, they're using it. At home, we use our tablets because our job, basically, we're there working from home. If I accidentally hit this and it went all over Mayor McGonigal's iPad, is he responsible to replace it if it's damaged or am I? So these are just the questions regarding this, is that we initially had a bylaw that a tablet is provided. Now there seems to be restrictions on it that frankly, I don't understand the reason for this. And I'd just like clarification.
That was as a result of recommendation from the consultant, so that language was incorporated here, so. And council had a chance to look at it when it was given 3 readings.
Yeah.
And make those changes, so.
And I had discussions with you on this in a few months ago.
it was
I
done.
also looked into the city of Duncan, North Cowichan, and town of Ladysmith in their council, and there's no language like this in theirs. So I'm just wondering. It's very restrictive. Like I had an iPad last term that the battery life was dying. And nothing was done. That is a defective iPad. So, but nothing was done to replace it. So I'm just concerned with this language that if I threw my iPad, then I'm responsible. If right, I'm responsible. That is intent. But if something happens, if the language in here really restricts us as a counselor to do our job, and our job is from this on all our committees and whatnot. So I really would like this to be relooked at. I would like to see that language taken out and stick with the original language of the current bylaw, 1043/2020. Because I just find this is, I don't understand the process of why we're here with this.
Okay, Councilor Frisbee, I see your hand twitching.
Was twitching. Just with the purchase of iPads, I know that we're all given options for damage replacement. Was it taken out on the purchase of these iPads?
No,
It wasn't.
Okay, any other questions? So I believe when we did put this out to consult for input, so that we did not make the decision on increases, for instance, on council remuneration and other entities that would be implemented in this. And when the report did come back, there was some conflicting language on the electronics that you were provided. At a subsequent meeting, I brought forward an amendment that it be replaced if effective. That language was not in the original consultant's report. We thought that that might appease some of the angst for a replacement. I do understand your concerns on a couple of the questions, and that's totally up to you to bring that forward for discussion at this table. What you have suggested is rescinding this one, sending it back for staff input on the previous language to be implemented into the new one. Any other discussion on that? Councillor Von Macca.
And I think this has come to the table twice now for this reading, and I'm quite happy with the way that it's drafted.
Councillor Frisbee, you're going again.
No, I had it halfway up.
You're okay?
Please,
Got half a
I
question?
had it, didn't quite finish it in my head.
Okay, what we have is consideration to rescind this motion. It's been moved and duly seconded. If the discussion is finished, I'm going to call the question on whether this should be rescinded. All those in favor of rescinding? Opposed? That motion carries. So that will be sent back for further input on implementing some of those languages that were in the previous bylaw, considering car rentals. And the other topic that you brought
9G.
forward, 9G. So can you give those just so they're on here, please?
Yes.
6B,
6B,
9G, pardon me,
and 9G.
9G.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And with that, we're going to move on to the Town of Lake Couch and Waste Rates and Regulations Bylaw 1085/2022 may be reconsidered and adopted. Joseph?
yes, this bylaw incorporates some rate increases because of tipping fee changes, increases. And the one issue that council was interested in is to make sure that there was no conflict between wildlife and people. And so they wanted wildlife attracting bylaws that were presented to council back in September, incorporated into, as a separate bylaw incorporated into this bylaw. So as a result, we have added segments of the wildlife attracting bylaws into the waste rates and regulations bylaw. It's been given first, second, and third reading, and it's here for reconsideration and adoption.
Okay. So I have a mover for that one and a seconder. Is there discussion on this? I will start it off. The intent of this is a first step to deterring wildlife interactions within our waste system. By being responsible with putting your garbage out on the day of pickup. And I know there has been some considerable social media posts on on timing of pickup, on whether it's been missed or eliminated completely. I'm quite sure that within the town of Lake Cowichan, garbage and organics are seldom missed for pickup. In the surrounding electoral areas, they have significant problems with their equipment, and it has been missed significantly. Recycling is a totally different animal. It's a contractor that does have some deficiencies in pickup. The intent is to not have the garbage receptacles, the full garbage receptacles placed out the night before pickup. 7 a.m. for curbside, I feel is sufficient. I think the one thing that we may be deficient in here is timing for removal of those empty bins, and that can be incorporated into this. One of the suggestions is that we get another truck and have another truck to be implemented into the pickup. The estimated cost of the truck is $450,000 currently. There's a 2-year wait for delivery. That would be a 21% tax increase for the purchase of that vehicle without inflationary costs on delivery date. It would be an additional employee to be staffed to incorporate the operation of that equipment, an additional 5% increase on taxation. And it would also be incorporated into looking at bear-proof bins, which are considerably more expensive than the current ones that we do have. Would be another 25% increase in taxation for a total of 51% tax increase just to incorporate second operation. I think this is an incorporated step to ensure that the deterrence for animal attractants is started. We've also incorporated that those commercial entities that use outside contractors ensure that their receptacles are bear-proof. We've had incidents of commercial entities that do utilize those contract facilities, incorporating new bins that are bear-proof, and it has decreased the interactions there. So I want to make sure that we're clear that this is just a first step on how we can deter the number of animals that are euthanized. Lake Cowichan area is the highest rate of bear incidents in the Cowichan Valley Regional District that calls for service. Conservation is almost not wanting to come out here anymore because of the number of calls. We are looking in our budget process of implementing the bear-proof receptacles in our public receptacles through town, and what the cost is moving forward with that. That would be a next step moving forward in the deterrence of the attractant and the euthanization of those animals. So just to be clear, we do not want to go around giving tickets to people that put their garbage out the night before, but this gives us the power to do that if need be. I will not be driving around giving out tickets as was suggested. I do not do the operation of day-to-day of the town operations, nor do any other councillors. This is the process that we were elected to do. This is what we heard in the campaign process, that the electorate did not want to have any more wildlife put down. So this is the starting step for us moving forward to implement that deterrence, if you will. And with that, I'll get off my soapbox. I apologize if I feel passionate, but sometimes governance on social media is not a good thing. This is where governance happens. If people are interested in the governance, come and sit in the gallery and bring your questions and concerns forward. We'll be happy to address them. But to suggest that there is any angst amongst us as council members is not true. We want to do the best for everyone in the community and to try to eliminate some of these tragic euthanization. Councillor Sandu, did I see your hand?
You did, thank you. I'm just wondering if in the spring, if we could maybe invite the conservation officer to come do a presentation to us. How many they've had to put down the last number of years and give statistics so people can go on our video and hear from the people that are having to do this. And what can we do? So I'm just wondering if we could pass that on.
Oh, that's good, for sure. I think one of the considerations that was also brought forward was the timing of pickup. If scheduling is a problem with pickup, that perhaps it is left at curbside until 1 or 2 in the afternoon. We can most certainly approach our superintendent on that scheduling problem and ask that could be addressed through scheduling changes perhaps. We have to take into consideration that perhaps a water main break would take away from that delivery of operations, but if there is a way to incorporate scheduling to accommodate an earlier pickup, I'm sure we can try to accommodate that as well. Councillor Frisbee?
Yeah, I mean, there has been some concern with the bylaw around, those who can't maybe afford a shed, which was in prior bylaws for that we took out. I guess this is going to take some effort, but between your organics, your recycling and garbage, it's just everyone's got to do their bit to buy into this, and this is a great step forward.
Great. Anyone else? So that has been brought forward for reconsideration and adoption. Anyone willing to move that?
I'll move it.
And seconded by Councillor Sandu, moved by Councillor Austin, seconded by Councillor Sandu, with considerable verbiage from Mayor McGonigal. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Thank you very much. How about we do one more? Let's do the Town of Lake Couch Municipal Ticketing Amendment Bylaw, 1086/2022. Joseph?
Yes, under the old ticketing bylaw. Under 1086. 7/28/2001 bylaw, the fines for failure to comply with the garbage bylaw was only $25 for each offense. So council thought it would be more appropriate to increase that. So they now reflect $250 for each of the offenses. I mean, it's not a money making or money grabbing issue. We just want to persuade people not to, break the rules regarding garbage. That's the intent.
Okay, we need mover first, moved by Councillor Gomaka, seconded by Councillor Austin. And did you have a follow-up comment? Please.
Just, I was wondering if there was gonna be, how would we call it? Like a minimum per occurrence, because some of these infractions, somebody could say, well, you violated 3 of them, and it would be $750. So is there something that says like per occurrence or a minimum or
Each offense,
each offense? So if you violated 3, your bill
days,
would be,
3 times.
okay, just clarification, thank you.
Councillor Austin,
I was
please.
just wondering, the first time, can it be a warning, like?
Yeah,
the police
we
do?
always want. We
So
don't,
give a warning to say that, because I know there are ones in my neighborhood that sometimes they're overcrowded and then the crows get in them and make a mess. And they do leave them out maybe for 2 days, not put them in, but if they would just get a notice that's saying, if this continues, if there is a fine and show them what the fines are, I'm happy enough with that.
yeah, that's our approach. We
Does-
try not to impose fines.
Because the raccoons get in them as well, and that's been another issue in my neighborhood recently with that. so. Okay, thank you.
Any further comments or discussion? And again, this is a public information piece trying to educate with a possibility. And I'll put that again, a possibility of fining if not adhering to the regulations within the bylaw. We certainly don't want to go around and ticket people. That's problematic, not only for us, but for the bylaw officer, for the person getting the ticket, collection, for litigation if it's not paid. So it's a cumbersome issue. And 95% of people adhere to bylaws. Just the way they are written. This is more of a public information process on eliminating some of the problems that have occurred in the past few years in wildlife interactions. So just another piece in that puzzle moving forward. Counselor
It's
Gomez.
just a follow-up because I agree with Counselor Austin, because when you do read the previous one, it says to have the garbage can by 7 a.m. at the curb. So if you're a guy that's going to work at 4 in the morning, you put your garbage out after you've left the bear, ended up there and strew your garbage, you wouldn't know, right? So I'm happy that it's a warning and fine. And I can see when it's people that it's constantly the same house every time. Well, absolutely, we have to use our tools in the toolbox to deter them.
This is another
Yeah.
tool.
Yeah.
This is the wrench.
Mhm.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? The motion carries. Thank you for that discussion as well. So. Moving on. I gotta get back on it. New business, we have few new business items. You were challenged by a counselor to do your homework on this for the survey questions, submission forms that's due shortly. I think we as a council can bring those questions forward and forward them and staff tomorrow. I will start with Counselor Sandu.
Well, this has to be submitted tomorrow by 5 p.m. And they will not take any late submissions. So that's why I kind of on the weekend sent an email to council, just be prepared when we come here, just if there's some questions some questions you want to see put on them.
That is correct. Did you want to go around the table and each put that question forward that you did in your homework? And you can start, Councilor Sandu.
Well, I just, some of the things is access to services is my number one, is the services that we don't have in our own community, but it's in Duncan or whatnot. So that's one of my ones. And one of the things they talked about is it's just not health issues. It's food security, education. It's a lot of things that impact families and individuals. So the cost of living right now, the cost of food, like that is a problem for people to be able to buy healthy food. So that to me is question number 2. Housing is the cost of rent right now, is that people have, it takes 2 incomes to pay rent now. And along with that comes a shortfall of their needs, their typical needs that we all sometimes take for granted. Yeah, those are just a few of mine is, and talking about income, and education, I think we've got great school, we've got phenomenal schools here. I think our community is very, very fortunate. So my few things is health and wellness, services needed, housing, food security, and just social supports.
Okay. Anyone else? Councilor Gomez?
Mine was about access to services, and it's more about transportation. Because in this area, we're very, I guess we'd say rural or dependent on busing. If you don't have a person who can get you to an appointment, and even if you do, and something happens that they can't get you that day down to a much needed appointment, it causes undue stress, which is not good when you're already having health issues. And I've talked to a few people in the community that said, yeah, it is hard when you have to line somebody up to get you to out of Lake Cowichan area doctors. And then Councillor Austin sent the outreach report talking about the desperate need for volunteers. And I went, there you go. That was kind of where my thought of thinking was on the weekend. And a lot of us were lucky that we have family members, neighbors of support that could get us to where we need to go. but not everybody has that. And I think it's a hardship and a stressor for many aging people. I don't know how to word it, so I could use some help.
Anyone else, Councillor Austin, do you have anything?
Well, just what I said previously, there's a lot of need here and we do have to lobby for it and we should all do our part. I think I filled that form out before through Island Health, but I can do it again because I don't think we put the name on it, so. The more the merrier. They often say most of these forms are filled out by women. Women 50 to 70 and a lot of the other age groups and genders aren't doing that. So it's really important to get different ages in there to say what's needed. The kids in the high school and stuff like that. I don't know if they sent it to the high school. But that would be important because some of them are having issues as well. And they should speak up. So, no, I'll fill that out in the morning.
Aside from each of us submitting our own questions, I think it's important that we submit one as a corporation, the town of Lake Cowichan. So that's why it's on the discussion now. We can all fill them out ourselves and send it, but that we have one focus that comes from the town of Lake Cowichan on what we feel as the elected body is deficiencies within our healthcare system. And I will put forward one. What would it take to incorporate a community health center similar to Ladysmith and Chemainus in our area with a similar population? With the deficiencies in doctors, it would be utilized as a health initiative to take pressures off emergency rooms, etc. My second one would be, what would it take to incorporate satellite mental health and addiction services, which are very much needed within our area, to accommodate some of the deficiencies in that service as well. You can always say that there are services in the core or in Duncan, but again, as you mentioned, if you can't get there with transportation, etc., if there's an opportunity for satellite services, and unfortunately, community services was not available to get that increase. There is only 9 hours a week of counseling available for adults through their services. And the health unit does not have the capacity to accommodate that as well. So those would be my two questions as a town moving forward on how those could be implemented through higher bodies than us. It would be a provincial and health authority entity to move forward. I did see Councillor Frisbee.
Yeah, I think mine was just around the importance of keeping online appointments for mental health. So a question around that, because another one was, you're exactly right with the transport to appointments. But one of the positives that have been is that people can get access online, not leave their house for mental health issues. So I guess a question around the importance of that.
Okay. I think you've got a taste of what we're looking at as putting them forward. You can always rewind the video and and get the question that way. If you don't mind, have staff do that for tomorrow's deadline.
I said one more thing. I forgot what I was gonna do. They do have some online help. Laurel had mentioned that in hers, that she has online help, but it's not quite the same. You know, sometimes people need in person. And we need to call this the Cowichan Lake area, not just the town, which incorporates 6,500 people now in this area. And as you say, that's similar to Chemainus. And we should have a little unit like that here. I went there for my bone density test at that clinic there. It's quite a good clinic. So just a little update on that.
And if I may, both Ladysmith and Chemainus have taken considerable pressure off of CDH on some of those services that they do provide. A lot of it is ancillary to what CDH does provide without the significant wait times, for instance. So that's one thing that could be incorporated, hopefully, within the West communities. And I did not think that it just be Lake Cowichan, because we are a similar population to the Chemainus area for that catchment. Okay, we're good on that. Thank you very much. Next, we have emergency management Cowichan, regional approach to emergency. If you wish to speak to this, Joseph?
Yeah, they were just looking for approval on one issue there. I think it's timely to get that approval.
Okay. So there is an action item there. So it's for the regional, Cowichan Valley Regional District to apply for, receive, and manage the UBCM Community Emergency Preparedness Fund Emergency Operations Center 2023. Holy cow, grant funding up to $150,000 on behalf of the town of Lake Cowichan. Joseph?
Yeah, and I put forward some of our requests to April. And that's going to go forward to be, and I think as a result, Council Sandhu raising the issues that we have in terms of whether we're lacking some issues, some
Equipment?
equipment, and she and I had a big discussion on it, so we put forth the items that we.
Thanks for that follow-up. I'm looking for a mover on that. Moved, seconded by Councillor everybody.
Yeah.
Oh, pick one.
I'll pick Councillor Mack at this time. Any further discussion? Thanks for bringing those concerns forward, Joseph.
Is there another one though? Because there's two for action.
We'll call the question on that first one. All in favor? Opposed, if any? Was there another one, Joseph?
No, I thought that
I
was
think
it.
it's just only the
two.
one.
Just showing.
It's just showing
Okay.
each grant. It's just the one grant,
Yeah,
but
it's one
what
grant.
they will all be implemented into. But that shows you're paying attention.
Yeah, because there was one for 300,000. And we just
We did
passed
the
this one
150.
for the 150, so I was wondering why there was a second one. for-
They told
They told-
They made it go.
Does that suffice or is there a second one there? Make sure we get
300,000 is the one.
300?
Yeah.
And there's a
it's
150, they're both.
150. So,
Yeah, you did the 150, you need one for 300.
for the 300.
So can we amend that to say 300?
No, they're two separate ones.
Yeah.
Let's do the second one. Who moves that one?
Why not?
Councillor Vomaka, seconded by Councillor Frisbee. Further discussion on that for a total of 300,000. All in favor? Opposed, if any? That motion carries. Thank you. Next we have an Otaki delegation update, Councillor Austin.
Thank you. Just thought I'd let you know, the parents are doing a great job. I don't go to their meetings. I kind of put it to them that it was their job to do this, so they're doing a great job. They have a chair, vice chair, treasurer, and secretary. They have 8 or 9 students and 2 supervisors. I'm sending all the information straight through to Joe and Ronnie. I tell them to do that. And they're going ahead quite well. They've been looking at the travel information, which I sent to Joe today. Because if they want to book everybody at the same time, it's probably a good thing to do, including whoever's going on our behalf. I think they're doing a great job, and we'll be doing bottle drives and hot dog sales, and I have 4 bags of bottles in my yard. Some of them have up to 10 in theirs, so they're going to be collecting them this week, I think, and opening up an account at the Bottle Depot. So they're all pretty excited about going. They're making sure they've got their passports, their vaccines, and their criminal record checks. And I think they had
22
some
so
forms sent to you as well.
Just two.
Just the 2, yeah, Deb and Warren. So they're doing a great job. So I said, just let me know if there's something I need to know. And I gave them Ayako's email to connect with her directly. I think they're going to leave on June 30th. They may go straight to Sapporo, or they may go to Toyota. What's it called?
Tokyo.
Tokyo. I had a Toyota for how many years? Tokyo first, but some of them want to stay there later too. So that's why one of the people at the travel agency said maybe go straight to Sapporo. And it's a big city and there's lots of hotels, and they said they would pick us up at the little airport village. It starts with a C. I forgot the name of it, and they will pick us up. We don't have to pay for that.
Chitos.
Pardon?
Chitos.
Chitos. Okay, so that's what they're doing. So there you go.
So question through to staff, would be appropriate at this meeting to put forward a council member as the head of the delegation, or would you want
I
to
think we
wait,
don't want to wait to see just how many.
see how many that are going, if there is enough? So just keep that in the back of your mind that. there
For
will
committee
be-
of the whole, then, because they want to get the plane.
Yeah, you got it this month, right?
Well, they need to do it this month, yeah,
Okay, just for
Pricing.
consideration, who you feel should be the head of the delegation?
or to go to the delegation into Japan.
Yeah.
That's what we're,
That,
Yeah.
well, the person from here, from the town, is the head of the
leader.
delegation.
the leader, the head,
Head of the delegation.
okay. I
I
believe
mean, that would be a topic for the next committee.
COTW, put that on the next agenda.
Okay.
Great. And that concludes, or you have something?
No, just a question to, Councillor Austin, when you find out where their bottle drive is.
Oh, I'll let
maybe
everybody
time,
know.
can you let us know?
Because we'll book the Saywell Park and I'll just make sure it's all booked. They'll probably do one a month. The hot dog sales are already booked for April and May. I think. I'll let everybody know when it comes closer to the time. Because they're supposed to be doing that. I just said all help, but the bottle drive anybody can do. Keep our bottles for them.
Okay. That concludes. Thank you. Under D, the chamber meeting update, Councillor Frisbee, if you would.
Yeah, so myself and Councillor Marker attempted to be undercover at the last chamber meeting, but were flushed out. It was quite good because there was a lot of representatives from 4VI as well as Tourism Cowichan. There's actually probably more reps there than business people, so a lot of opportunity to ask questions on the 4VI report. I raised the question about the lack of stakeholder input on the first impressions. I think that 4VI's interpretation of it was that they were looking at it from a visitor to our town rather than going in depth with it. And it was more, honestly, the first impressions thing. It's a study that's been used across North America to get more input to towns. From the recommendations that were outlined in that report, obviously there was the parklets, which the feedback is that's misguided. More signage and receptacles for litter and that around the river, and that was kind of put forward that maybe the Cowichan River Stewardship Society and maybe a local business that we know of could improve those situations. But the biggest one was the tourism coordinator position, and when put forward to the reps, I asked the question, should this be a municipal run thing or a chamber of commerce run thing? And they were adamant that it should not be a municipal role. It should be more of a chamber of commerce role or a tourism body or organization. What was apparent was the chamber of commerce don't have any. They're not willing to fill that or exercise that whatsoever. So coming out of the meeting, I felt that there was no action items for us as a council or follow-up needed from 4VI. And that's, I'm just speaking on from myself. I don't know what Councillor Marker's opinion is on that, but that's kind of what I took out of it.
Yeah, I kind of took away from that. It was good to go to that and have them there because it was explained that it was more like a secret shopper. That they'd like to come into your community not knowing anything. And then, so we had discussion with them about some of the things that are not in our control. That was in that report. And at the end of the meeting, we did talk to the one young lady and said that asked if staff had got hold of them yet for them to come and do a presentation to council, because that would answer a lot of our questions. And she had said that they hadn't had an invite yet, but I guess because we deferred it. Yeah. So if the rest of council still wishes to, we can extend an invitation to them.
Well, I think by getting clarification on what the intent of the study was, and by you as business owners pointing out some of those deficiencies, and the input that the tourism coordinator should not reside within the municipality, but an outside entity. I think those questions or concerns that we had have been answered by your attendance. I think by inviting them here, we're going to get the same input that you have provided. So to afford them the opportunity to come again to our area, I don't think is, in my opinion, a good use of their time when they can focus on other areas perhaps. But That's just my point of view. Councillor Frisbee, please.
Yeah, what I kind of asked is if we don't have representation from the municipality nor the Chamber of Commerce, like who is kind of overseeing it. And all VI have been contracted by the CBRD to kind of oversee tourism, which is what Lake Cowichan would fall under. But again, coming out of that meeting, it does feel like no one's really taking ownership of it, or guiding it. So, I mean, something to look at, but I understand the relationships in the field.
And I'm sure there is an opportunity within the regional district function of an economic development function that we could coordinate that position perhaps through there for a region-wide tourism coordinator, not just for the West End, but for the South and other areas. And that may be something that could be broached at the regional table as a possibility of that 4BI report. Councillor,
Go ahead.
Sandu.
So they made the comment that the municipality shouldn't run the info center.
No,
And what reasons were?
no, sorry, they did not say that.
Tourism coordinator.
They said that the recommended position in the 4VI report of a tourism coordinator
Yeah.
should not be run by municipal government. We did raise the question was raised, how many other info centers are run by the municipal government, and there was not many on the island, but I'm aware of maybe more across BC. But yeah, it's a unique situation where we are an info center, and that's what came across from that.
Can I just follow up with that? So does it make it that like what the services that is being provided like last summer? There were no issues. People came, tourists came, and they were given their information and whatnot. So what changes that person shouldn't be part of? I guess that's my question. I don't quite understand the difference of an employee, a town person, a municipal person being that to somebody outside. I mean, they have to do training and whatnot, and most people that are even like summer students and that, they have to do the training and whatnot. So just the same.
If I may, I think the tourism coordinator looks at more than just information for visitors that are coming here. They look for infrastructure and entities that might entice more tourists to the area, whether it be a resort destination and various aspects to entice more people, not to answer the questions of where the circle lead is, which is what the focus of the tourist information center is. Where can I eat? Where can I camp? Where can I go to the bathroom? The tourism coordinator would look at the Western community on deficiencies of enticing people not to drive by tourism, but to stay and to tour our excellent recreation opportunities. I think that's the focus of a tourism coordinator as opposed to other.
So when the chamber ran it, Catherine was the coordinator. So was she educated in that to be?
I don't believe she's in the position of tourism coordinator. I think she's running.
Strictly tourism. Okay,
Did you want to go first?
no, you are.
Okay.
Councillor Austin.
Region-wide coordinator, hello? Region-wide coordinator is a better idea, and they used to, and it was Tourism Vancouver Island, I used to go to the meetings. They do the advertising and everything for the whole area, including us. We have to put some money into it sometimes, they will ask for that. But I think that makes more sense, and we're always gonna have some deficiencies. We're a small community, we're a bedroom community of Duncan, and we're at capacity for all our tourism right now with parking and people coming. In the summertime, you can't get your boat at the boat launch unless you go at 9 o'clock in the morning on a weekend. So, you know, I think we're doing really well. And I mentioned in my outreach report that through the Recreation Commission, there was a hockey jamboree and a bonspiel this weekend that brought a lot of people into the community to go to the stores. My son and I were at the Riverside for breakfast and it filled up just like that. So there are things going on in the winter. It's just not as much, and we don't have enough going on in the winter. Here, we have to accept that. I've been a part of 3 or 4 of these over 30 years now, well, since 1997, I think, and they all came up with the same kinds of things, but there's only so much we can do. We're not Whistler, we're not Victoria. We don't have all these things. I think we're doing a great job.
Oh, finally.
I think that from what I take from the tourism coordinator, it was more putting all of our different attractions on the same page and talking to each other. And I think that the businesses themselves can do that. So if we get, Sunfest organisers, local tourism operators, the Lake Cowichan First Nations who are interested in promoting as well, it's just getting everyone on the same page, because at the moment there's no connection. So coordinating to me in that position would be the go-between of all of those. So I think there's an opportunity for maybe some of those entities to create that position outside of the municipality, but something to look at.
Great. Councillor Banaka?
Yeah, and there was another one too, that a member of Honeymoon Bay was interested as to why they weren't in this survey.
With the new story.
Yeah, so it was interesting because, when you look at us as one community, Honeymoon Bay, U-Bolt, Lake Cowichan, but yet all three of us want our own little independence of our own little community. But when it came to that, it was, why weren't you out in Honeymoon Bay? Why weren't you out in U-Bolt? So it was really pretty interesting because they felt left out. And so the 4BI was really good at saying, well, because only Lake Cowichan, but they were looking at going out to the smaller little communities. But yeah, it was pretty interesting, to listen to that. And the same thing with Aaron was, we took it away like we do with every report. We as business people have more business than we can handle in the summertime. Our campsites are full, the restaurants are full, the stores are all full. And that was one thing they noticed, that you're busy. And I said, we don't need to advertise for the summer. What we're looking for is that off season. And they were quite aware of that. And I can't remember the name of what they were saying, but they were saying that that's a part of what 4BI, I think, was saying that to have, was the name, the tourism coordinator, could help with that of the off-season shoulder, which we were fully aware of, right? But they were saying, no, that government doesn't belong in that role of visitor center tourism.
So might I ask how the meal was?
It was an exception.
Exceptional meal at
I've never
the
been there
U-Bolt
before.
pub?
U-Boat pub was
And there's a
unbelievable.
little plug for the U-Bolt pub.
Your
That's
first
right.
time,
Yeah, my first
my
time.
first time there. too.
Yeah, it's just, that's good. I'm glad it's working again. Just one more thing, and that's why when you were talking about the small communities, and I did this when I was in tourism. It's all the communities around Cowichan Lake. It's not just the town. You have to bring in Honeymoon Bay and U-Bolt. There's not a lot of Missachi right now, but there used to be more. There is the rec center there, the hall. So if they would focus on the whole community out here, we're Cowichan West. When we did the CEAC Community Economic Adjustment, we got the designation of Cowichan West. I still have all the little stickers from that, and that was one of our branding images, Cowichan West.
Yeah.
So incorporate the whole area, not just the town. And if we run the info center again, which we did last couple of years, it's been a good job. I think that's an important position, and no one seemed to complain too much about it. I think the people enjoyed doing it, and hopefully it'll happen again this year.
Well, thanks for bringing that information back. I appreciate that. And moving forward, I think we'll just follow this along and see how it moves forward, if it does in any, whether it be regionally or in a West Incorporated business focus. Looking at the next one, E, that's an AB Greenwell update, if there is one available. Councillor Sandu, you have that question?
Well, I just had a question. So they've started the deconstruction. So I was just curious, what is the next step for the town in this process of signing?
It's item on the camera agenda.
Oh, tonight?
Tonight.
Okay, sorry, didn't know that.
Acquisition, disposition.
So that will be discussed at a later point, being that it is land
It's
matters.
been public.
Yeah, the demolition of the
Oh,
property.
no, it's been acquiring, it was public and
That
whatnot.
part.
So that's just why I asked. For regular.
Okay, so that is through, just to be clear, the town does not own that. We are not demolishing it. It is the school board that has went through the province to get capital funding for the demolition of that property. That is not the town doing the demolition, as has been suggested. Okay, we'll get that in the Further discussion? And next is the community to community meeting of February 6th. Looking for approval of that from this body to move forward with the First Nation meeting. Council to council, that's on Monday, February the 6th. So can you direct staff to move that agenda forward with
A time, I work Mondays, so that's, I just need to be, if it can be after
something, I'm away all day.
evening one?
Evening.
Evening if possible, if you could suggest that to Aaron or Mr. Hamilton, I should say.
After 5,
After 5 if possible,
After 6. Or 6 or more, no?
whatever accommodates their schedule as well.
Yeah.
We'll keep Councilor Frisbee up for the meeting. Okay, that's just direction to staff. Is that appropriate, Joseph?
yeah.
No mayor's report, that'll be a quarterly item, but I did want to give a big, huge shout out to the Lake Couch and Minor Hockey Association executive for their 52nd/50th. Because of COVID, they couldn't do their 50th anniversary. It was postponed for 2 years. It was done this year. The arena was packed. There was an alumni game with people who have played throughout the Couch and Lake Minor Hockey Association and further, even up into the NHL levels. We came back for the alumni game. It was great to see people that I haven't seen in the community for close to 30 years come back. As I stated then, once you're a Laker, you're always a Laker. You can leave the lake, but you can't leave being a Laker. It was a great opportunity to reconnect as a community and find the stands absolutely crammed as they were when the previous junior league team, junior league Lakers were playing to a packed house. I just hope that the current junior league team can entice half as many people to their games, be a successful entity moving forward. So huge shout out to all the executives, the players, coaches, the volunteers, timekeepers. It was an awesome event and well thought of by everybody who attended. So with that, we'll go to question period, I believe. It's a maximum of 3 minutes for question period. And per speaker, we have 15 minutes total allotted time. You can phone your questions in to 250-749-6681, extension 108, or email to general@lakecowichan.ca. The phone number 250-749-6681, extension 108, or email general@lakecowichan.ca. I do know we have a couple of people in the audience, but we will take a brief 3-minute pause and wait
We have
Are
nothing.
we live?
Yes,
Thank you.
we have nothing.
Looking at the owl, there have been no phone calls,
Yeah.
no emails. I will turn to the gallery. Any questions on the items on the agenda today?
Yes, I do.
Could you stand and come forward so people can hear you in the?
I will make that attempt. My question is with regards to the two of the new bylaws regarding waste management and the fees. The first in that, and you did an excellent coverage of the purpose and whatnot. But I was wondering regarding the wording about placing the can on the curb at 7 a.m. and no statement of when that can should be removed. Also within the bylaws, there is wording that suggests that prior to the days of pickup, the cans must be secured. Or words to that effect. Technically, the way it's worded right now, after the can is emptied by the truck, set back down on the curb, that can is subject to fine. And I would hope that to see an amendment come out at some point that would actually require the can to be removed by a specific time in order to get around that gray area. Now, I've had a lot of comments on Facebook already and saying, well, we can't take it in by 6, we can't take it in by 7. I got to drive back from Victoria. I would suggest a time to remove the can be midnight. That accommodates just about any situation I can think of. I'm sure that someone else is going to come up with a situation, but the other thing, I did get a question.
If I can just respond to that, first of all, we have asked staff to look at a time for removal. I think during that discussion that was broached, we'll take into consideration your timing issue on how we can accommodate the most people. I don't think that we look at 12 p.m. to accommodate 2 people or et cetera. So we'll look at the situation on a community base on what would be appropriate for removal of those empty bins. We know that empty bins are not the attractant, that the full bins are the attractant, and putting out prior to the day of delivery is a major attractant. Thank you for that.
The other aspect is, I had at least one person comment that they have their bins for a number of years. They've never used them for whatever reason, and they don't have a garage. All they're doing is sitting in their carport. And they have a concern under the new bylaw, whether or not those bins, because they're in the open, in essence, are they going to get fined?
I don't believe that's the intent. The intent is to have them secured as reasonably possible. And if that is not stated within the bylaw, that is the intent. And with the original one, it was to have an enclosure in each residential property be built to accommodate those bins. We felt that that was conducive to problematic for most properties. We did have that removed. So the intent is to have it secured as best as possible, whether it's in your property boundaries.
Perfect.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Anyone else? Sir, you're okay?
Well, I didn't come here with any issues or anything like that, but I do want to give to commend the village for the real nice bus stop that has just recently been completed across from Country Grocer there. My interest is I'm a retired bus driver now. And the tie-in with the business of your council tonight would be that your emergency community services and mental health and whatnot like that. And you're talking about the need for volunteer drivers. But I also heard at the CBRD level and all that, they talk about how poor transit is, and in my mind, transit should be doubled in efficiency and frequency and whatnot like that to serve people better, and serving people with appointments and mental health issues, whatnot like that is really needed.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your input and those have been looked at the regional level. And again, it's a matter of provincial hours, as you know, being allocated to different services. And as a region, we have pressures for regional transportation, whether it be connectivity to Nanaimo, commuter buses to Victoria. The major GHG component of the town of Lake Cowichan is 80% of the GHG emissions are transportation. If we can accommodate getting people out of their car and into a usable transit service where you can get there from here, where you can connect to the commuter at 6 a.m. from here, that would be appropriate.
It's really a matter of the livable wage too, and I mean, for people to have two cars, just, because two people have to work. It's
Appreciate your
better
input.
transit.
Thanks for attending and not throwing tomatoes at us.
They didn't bring any expensive.
Anyone else looking for that, for moving in camera? Joseph? The items we're moving in camera for are
Read it out.
as follows.
Section 92 of the community charter requires that before a meeting or part of a meeting is closed to the public, council must state by resolution why the meeting is to be closed. The basis on which the meeting is to be closed falls under the following sections of the community charter. Section 91E, the acquisition, disposition, or expropriation of land or improvement. Section 91F, law enforcement. And section 91G, litigation of potential litigation affecting the municipality.
So I'll just repeat that in case anybody at home did not hear it. The reason we're going into camera is through the community charter under 91E, the acquisition, disposition, or expropriation of land or improvements, 91F, law enforcement, and 91G, litigation or potential litigation affecting the municipality. Looking for a mover to go on camera. Councilor Austin, all in one breath, seconded by Councilor Bomaka, all in favor? Opposed, if any? We'll take a short break as we clear the masses of the gallery and put in camera. Thank you.